The text message came at 3:47 a.m., jolting me from the first decent sleep I'd had in months. Unknown number. My thumb hovered over the delete button, but something made me pause. Your son is planning something that will break your heart. Watch him closely. My name is Marley, and until that moment, I thought the worst part of my year was already behind me. Losing Wyatt to cancer had nearly destroyed me, but I'd somehow managed to keep our architecture firm running and hold myself together. Now, staring at those words glowing in the darkness of my bedroom, I felt that familiar world-tilting sensation all over again. I sat up, switching on my bedside lamp. The message seemed to mock me, each word more ominous than the last. Landon? My Landon? The same kid who used to leave me handwritten notes saying "world's best mom," hidden around the house? But he hadn't been that kid for a while now. Ever since he started dating Delilah, things had changed. Small things at first, missed Sunday dinners, shortened phone calls, that slight edge in his voice whenever I asked about his plans. Then bigger things, like the designer watch I spotted on his wrist last week. The one that cost more than his monthly salary at the junior architectural firm where he worked. This is ridiculous, I muttered, tossing my phone aside. But sleep wasn't coming back tonight. Instead, memories flooded in. Landon's face when I questioned the watch, that flash of something in his eyes. Guilt? Defiance? And Delilah, always there now, steering conversations away from anything too personal. My phone buzzed again. Same number. Check his recent purchases. Start with Morris Jewelers. My hands shook as I reached for my laptop. I knew Landon's password. He'd given it to me months ago when I needed to transfer some files for work. I told myself I was being paranoid, that this was probably just some cruel prank. But Wyatt always said my intuition was my superpower. Right now, it was screaming that something was very wrong. The browser history loaded, and my breath caught. There it was. Morris Jewelers, multiple visits. But it wasn't the jewelry store visits that made my blood run cold. It was the other tabs, investment sites, offshore banking information, and something called asset liquidation strategies. What was my son planning? And more importantly, who was trying to warn me? I closed the laptop, my mind racing. Tomorrow, I'd have to face him at the office, pretend everything was normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. Not since that first message lit up my phone, changing everything I thought I knew about my only child. I spent the entire morning rehearsing what I'd say to Landon. But when he walked into my office, all my carefully planned words evaporated. He looked so much like his father, same confident stride, same dimpled smile. Except Wyatt never had that guarded look in his eyes. "You wanted to see me, Mom?" He stood in the doorway, one hand casually tucked into his pocket. The expensive watch gleamed under the office lights. "Sit down, honey." I gestured to the chair across from my desk, trying to keep my voice steady. "How are things going with the Richardson project?" "Fine. On schedule." He didn't sit. "Look, I've got a client meeting in 20 minutes, Dash. I got a strange message last night." I pulled up the text on my phone. "About you." His expression didn't change, but his shoulders tensed slightly. "What kind of message?" I slid my phone across the desk. As he read, a muscle twitched in his jaw, another gesture so like his father's that it made my chest ache. "This is ridiculous," he said, tossing the phone back. "Someone's obviously trying to cause trouble." Then explain the jewelry store visits. The offshore banking searches. The color drained from his face. "You checked my browser history?" "I'm worried about you, Landon. Ever since Delilah Dash." "Don't." His voice turned sharp. "Don't blame Delilah for this. You've never given her a chance. Because she's changing you. The expensive gifts, the secret meetings, Dash." "Secret meetings?" He laughed, but it wasn't his real laugh. "I'm meeting with investors, Mom. I'm trying to build something of my own, instead of just riding your coattails forever." The words hit like a slap. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with another message. Unknown number again. Ask him about the trust fund papers. Landon's eyes flickered to the phone, then back to my face. Something dark passed behind his eyes. "You know what?" He straightened, adjusting his tie. "I don't need this." I'm not a kid anymore, and I don't need your permission or approval for every decision I make. Landon, wait dash. But he was already walking out, leaving me with the lingering scent of his expensive cologne and a growing knot of dread in my stomach. I pulled up my email, searching for the quarterly trust fund statement. The one Wyatt had set up for Landon's future. The most recent balance made my blood run cold. Nearly empty, with a series of large withdrawals over the past 3 months. My phone buzzed again. Now you're starting to see. But there's more. Much more. I closed my eyes, remembering Wyatt's words before he died. Take care of our boy. I was trying, but it felt like the harder I tried to hold on. The faster Landon was slipping away. He's investing in cryptocurrency. VA's words hung in the air between us at our usual coffee spot. But not just any crypto, some new startup thing Delilah's cousin is running. They're promising ridiculous returns. My coffee turned bitter in my mouth. How do you know this? My nephew works at the same firm as Landon. Says he's been bragging about making millions soon. V leaned forward, lowering her voice. Marley, these kinds of schemes. They're basically digital Ponzi schemes. People lose everything. I thought about the empty trust fund account, feeling sick. That's what the money's going to? Some crypto scam. It gets worse. V pulled out her phone, showing me a social media post. There was Delilah, draped in designer clothes, standing in front of a coming soon sign for a luxury condo development. The caption read, "Can't wait to move into our dream home." Sometimes the biggest risks bring the biggest rewards. My hands started shaking. That development. It's not even built yet. The down payment alone would be dash. More than Landon makes in a year, be finished. Way more. My phone buzzed. Another message. Check the firm's client accounts. Now, the world tilted sideways. Oh God, I whispered, already pulling up our accounting software. He wouldn't. But there it was. 3 separate client accounts, each showing unusual transfers over the past week. Small amounts, carefully spread out to avoid detection. The kind of thing only someone with inside access would know how to do. Marley? VA's voice seemed far away. What is it? He's embezzling. The words felt like glass in my throat. My son is stealing from our clients. Just then, my phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. The same one that had been sending the messages. My finger hovered over the answer button. Don't be warned. It could be anyone. But I had to know. I answered, putting it on speaker. Hello, Marlo. The voice was digitally altered, impossible to identify. Now you understand what's at stake. Your son isn't just risking his own future, he's risking yours too. Every client account he touches, every dollar he steals, it all leads back to you. The firm principal. The one responsible. What do you want? I demanded. To help you save him. But you'll have to trust me. And you'll have to be willing to do whatever it takes. The line went dead, leaving me with an impossible choice. Turn in my own son and watch his life implode, or become complicit in his crimes by staying silent. V reached across the table, squeezing my hand. What are you going to do? I stared at my phone, remembering Wyatt's last words again. Take care of our boy. But how do you save someone who's determined to destroy themselves? I found Delilah at the upscale cafe where she always took her lunch breaks. She looked perfectly put together, as usual, but something was off. Her fingers kept fidgeting with her designer watch, the matching pair to Landon's. Mrs. Jasper. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I was surprised to get your call. Let's skip the pleasantries. I sat down across from her. I know about the cryptocurrency investments. And the condo. Her smile flickered. I don't see how that's any of your business. It became my business when client money started disappearing from my firm's accounts. The color drained from her face. For a moment, I saw through the polished exterior to something raw and frightened underneath. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? I pulled out my phone, showing her the transfer records. Your cousin's crypto startup. The down payment on that luxury condo. Where did you think that money was coming from? She set down her coffee cup with shaking hands. Landon said. He said he had investments paying off. That his trust fund dash is empty. The words hung between us like smoke. He's stealing, Delilah. And you're helping him destroy himself. You don't understand, she whispered. My parents. They're cutting me off unless I prove I can maintain their lifestyle. The pressure Landon's under is nothing compared to prison. My voice cracked, which is exactly where he'll end up if this continues. Something shifted in her expression. Why are you really here, Mrs. Jasper? To threaten me? To make me leave him? I'm here because I think you're scared. Just like I am. I leaned forward. And I think you know this is going to end badly. Her composure cracked. Tears welled up in her eyes. I love him, she said. I know you don't believe that, but I do. I didn't know how to stop once it started. My phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. She's lying. Check her personal bank account. I looked up at Delilah, studying her tear-stained face. Was this another performance? Or was she as trapped as Landon? If you really love him, I said quietly, prove it. Help me save him from himself. She opened her mouth to respond, but her phone rang. Landon's name flashed on the screen. The look of panic that crossed her face told me everything I needed to know. I have to go, she said, gathering her things. I'm sorry, I need time to think. As she hurried away, my phone buzzed one final time. Now you know who to watch. The next move is yours. I stared at my cold coffee, wondering if I'd just made things better or infinitely worse. That night, I sat in Wyatt's old home office, surrounded by the blueprints and sketches that had once been our shared dreams. Bea perched on the desk, watching me pace. You need to call the police, she said quietly. And destroy my son's life? My hands shook as I poured another glass of wine. There has to be another way. Marley, he's already destroying his life. And yours. Bea picked up one of the client files I'd spread across the desk. These people trusted you. Trusted your firm. Some of them have their life savings in these accounts. My phone lit up with another message. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. The final transfer will empty the Peterson account. Stop him, or everything ends. The Peterson account. Our biggest client, a retirement community project worth millions. I felt the room spin. I could replace it, I whispered. Sell the beach house, liquidate my investments, and become complicit in fraud? Bea stood up. That's not what Wyatt would want. How do you know what Wyatt would want? The words came out sharper than intended. He's not here. He left me to handle this alone. No, he left you to be strong enough to do the right thing. Bea's voice softened. Even when it hurts. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Delilah. We need to talk. Landon's planning something big. Please help. Before I could respond, another message from the unknown number. Don't trust her. Check the security footage from the firm's back entrance. Last Tuesday, 11 p.m. My hands trembled as I pulled up the security app on my laptop. There they were, Landon and Delilah, sneaking into the office late at night. But something was off about their body language. They weren't moving like lovers. They looked more like competitors. Oh God, I breathed. Zooming in. Look at what she's holding. Bea leaned in. Is that? A USB drive. The pieces clicked into place. The mysterious messages. Delilah's tearful confession. The separate bank accounts. She wasn't just helping Landon, she was playing him, setting him up to take the fall while she walked away with everything. My phone rang. Landon's number. Mom? His voice sounded young, scared. I really messed up. I need your help. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of tomorrow morning's deadline pressing down on me. In less than 12 hours, my son would either become a criminal, or I would have to break his heart to save him. Come home, I said. We need to talk. The clock on Wyatt's desk ticked loudly in the silence, counting down the moments until everything would change. Landon arrived at midnight, soaked from the rain. He looked smaller somehow, like the little boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. But the laptop tucked under his arm reminded me this wasn't that innocent time anymore. I can explain everything, he said, setting up his computer on Wyatt's desk. His hands shook as he pulled up financial spreadsheets. The crypto investment? It's legitimate. We're just days away from Stop lying. My voice was barely a whisper. I saw the security footage. You and Delilah, sneaking into the office. He froze. Mom dash. The Peterson account transfer is scheduled for 9 a.m. I slid my phone across the desk, showing him the anonymous messages. Were you going to tell me before or after you destroyed everything your father and I built? Color drained from his face. How did you? Those messages weren't supposed to dash. He caught himself too late. Weren't supposed to what, Landon? Warned me that my son was stealing from his own family. Delilah said she had a plan. His voice cracked. She promised we could replace the money before anyone noticed. The crypto returns dash. There are no returns. I slammed my hand on the desk, making us both jump. She's playing you. Setting you up to take the fall while she walks away with everything. No. He shook his head violently. You're wrong. She loves me. She wouldn't dash. My phone buzzed. Another message. Check her offshore account. Password. Wyatt Jasper 1962 inch. My heart stopped. My husband's name and birth year. With trembling fingers, I typed in the credentials. The account loaded, showing multiple transfers from our firm's clients, including one pending transaction, the entire Peterson account. Set to transfer not to the crypto investment, but to a private account in Delilah's name alone. Landon saw it too. He stumbled backward, knocking over Wyatt's chair. I don't understand, she said. She promised. The police are already on their way. My voice sounded strange, distant. I called them before you arrived. What? His eyes widened with betrayal. Mom, no. Please. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Landon lunged for the door, but I caught his arm. Let me go. He struggled against my grip. I can fix this. I'm trying to save you, I whispered, holding him tighter as the sirens grew louder. Sometimes love means doing the hardest thing imaginable. Blue lights flooded the office. In their harsh glare, I saw tears streaming down my son's face, the same face that used to light up when Wyatt and I came home. The face I'd sworn to protect at any cost. The front door burst open. As officers rushed in, I realized saving my son meant first breaking his heart, and my own along with it. 3 days after Landon's arrest, Delilah walked into my office unannounced. She looked different, no designer clothes, no perfect makeup. Just a tired young woman clutching a familiar USB drive. I'm turning myself in, she said, placing the drive on my desk. But first, you need to know something. I didn't respond, just watched her sink into the chair where my son had sat so many times before. Those anonymous messages? They weren't meant to help you. Her hands twisted in her lap. They were supposed to push you and Landon apart. Make him desperate enough to go through with the final transfer. My throat tightened. But the password, Wyatt's name dash, was in Landon's computer files, along with everything else about your family. She pulled out her phone, showing me a series of texts. But someone else started sending messages too. Real ones. Warning you. The office door opened. Bea stepped in, her face grim. Hello, Delilah. She moved to stand beside my desk. I see you finally decided to tell the truth. Understanding hit me like a physical blow. It was you? You sent the warnings? Wyatt asked me to watch over you both before he died. Bea's voice cracked. He knew Landon might struggle after he was gone. Made me promise to step in if things got bad. Delilah's phone buzzed. Her face went pale as she read the message. They found the money. All of it. My parents. She started to shake. I never meant for it to go this far. I just wanted to prove something? I finished. To your parents? To yourself? She nodded, tears falling. Landon was supposed to be my fresh start. Someone who saw me, not my family's expectations. But I ruined him instead. No. I stood up, memories of every choice, every moment that led us here flooding back. We all played our part. Me, trying to protect him from everything. You, running from your own fears. Him, trying to be something he's not. My phone lit up with a message from the detention center. Landon had agreed to testify against the crypto scheme organizers in exchange for a lighter sentence. He's going to need us, I said quietly. Both of us. Not to fix things or control them, but to help him find his way back. Delilah looked up, surprise crossing her tear-stained face. After everything I did? Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the ones who need forgiveness the most. I glanced at B, seeing Wyatt's wisdom in her steady presence. The question is, are you ready to earn it? She reached for the USB drive, hand trembling. I'll tell them everything. Every account, every transaction. Then let's go. I grabbed my keys, feeling the weight of Wyatt's wedding ring on my chain. It's time to face the truth, all of us. 6 months later, I stood in the visitor's room of the minimum security facility, watching Landon arrange his architectural drawings on the table. His orange jumpsuit clashed with the professional portfolio, but his eyes were clear, focused, more like the sun I remembered. The rehabilitation center design is almost finished, he said, spreading out the blueprints. They're going to let me present it to the board next month. I studied the plans, recognizing Wyatt's influence in the clean lines, the thoughtful spaces. But there was something else there too, something uniquely Landon. It's beautiful, honey. Delilah helped with the community integration aspects. He hesitated, glancing up. She's been visiting. We're trying to figure things out. The real way this time. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of Delilah in the waiting area, talking quietly with B. Both of them had testified at the sentencing, helping reduce Landon's time. Both still carrying their own weight of responsibility. Mom? Landon's voice pulled me back. I found something in Dad's old files. Letters he wrote before he died, one for each of us. Including this. He slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a single message. Trust the warnings. Love, W. My hands shook. He knew? All this time. B told me everything. How Dad made her promise to watch over us, how he knew I might lose my way. Landon's eyes filled with tears. He tried to protect me even after he was gone. Just like you did. I reached for his hand, feeling the rough edge of his prison ID bracelet. Sometimes protecting someone means letting them face the consequences of their choices. I know that now. He squeezed my hand. 3 more months, and I can start making things right. My phone buzzed. One last message from the unknown number. Mission accomplished. Delete this number. W and B. I looked through the window again at B, who gave me a small nod. All this time, she'd been carrying out Wyatt's final wish, helping us find our way back to each other through the darkness. Ready to show me the rest of the design? I asked Landon, slipping my phone away. He smiled, that real, unguarded smile I'd missed so much. Actually, I was thinking we could work on it together. Like old times. I pulled up a chair, remembering all the hours spent at Wyatt's drafting table, teaching Landon how to dream in straight lines and perfect angles. But life, I'd learned, was built in the messy spaces between plans, in the mistakes and corrections, the falls and recoveries. In the end, that's where love lived too.